My beloved, let me speak to your spirit in a way that calls forth the memory of your grandmother's kitchen, where wisdom was baked into biscuits, and healing was stirred with wooden spoons. Let me speak to you now not as a preacher nor a prophet, but as a woman who has walked barefoot through fire and still stood tall with dignity and grace. Today, I bring you something simple, something as old as the earth and as sacred as a prayer whispered through trembling lips. Salt. Yes, child, salt. Not the kind poured recklessly on food, but the kind used by the ancient mothers and the mountain men. The kind that stood watch in the corners of their homes, their temples, and yes, even their places of work. You see, sugar may sweeten your tongue, but salt will preserve your purpose. It will chase the staleness out of your air. It will remind your walls that this place belongs to God, and it will tell every demon, debt, delay, and doubt, you can't live here no more. Now listen to me, listen close. There are 4 places in your office where salt must go. And no, this is not superstition, baby. This is spiritual instruction. This is ancestral wisdom. This is holy ground strategy. You must understand, my darling, that the first impression of a place, any place, is not made by the color on its walls or the leather on its chairs. It is made by what steps through the threshold. The doorway is not merely wood and hinges, not simply a portal between indoors and out. No, it is a spiritual gate, an invisible crossing where energies shift, where light and dark contend, where peace and chaos wrestle like ancient lovers. And that, my dear, is where you must begin. Place a pinch of salt there. Just a pinch. Nothing extravagant, nothing boastful. Quietly, reverently, not for eyes, but for spirits. For salt has memory, you see. Salt remembers the ocean it came from. It remembers the tears it once tasted on your face. It remembers the prayers of grandmothers who couldn't read, but who could speak power into silence. Salt is sacred, and when you put it in your doorway, you are not decorating. You are declaring. You are saying to the air, this space is claimed. You are saying to the unseen, this room is consecrated. You are saying to trouble, you may have wandered the world, but you will not cross this line. A pinch of salt in the entryway is a message written in silence, sent to the heavens, noticed by the angels. For salt in the doorway does not merely protect the room. It blesses the people who walk into it. It softens hard hearts before they speak. It halts sharp tongues before they wound. It confuses the plans of those who come with envy hidden in their back pockets and criticism, tucked behind their crooked smiles. Salt at the threshold humbles the arrogant before they arrive. It welcomes the weary with peace. It greets the honest with warmth. And it makes sure no foul intention goes unnoticed. Because while people can disguise their faces, spirits never lie. And salt recognizes truth. It clings to it. It draws it out of hiding. Now I've walked in and out of many doors in my life. Some led to stages. Some led to sorrow. Some led to freedom. But I've learned this: not every open door is a blessing, and not every visitor comes with love in their heart. Some come to steal your joy, to copy your ideas, to sit in your energy and leave you feeling small, spent, and unsure of your own brilliance. But oh, my dear, when there is salt at the door, their plans unravel before they even begin. They walk in confused, their bitterness dissolved, their schemes undone by something they cannot see, and would not understand even if you tried to explain it. Salt is old, older than prayer, older than war, older than language itself, and yet it obeys the divine. It follows God's whisper and honors His word. That is why salt belongs at the threshold, because it listens when you speak. It protects even when you sleep. It watches when your back is turned. Now, don't be afraid to look foolish, child. Don't be afraid that someone might notice the salt and laugh. Let them. For they do not know that while they are mocking, you are ministering. They do not know that while they are scoffing, heaven is sealing your sanctuary. Let them go on thinking small thoughts while you invite great protection. Salt at the door is like oil in the lamp, simple but divine. It tells heaven you are ready. It tells the earth you are wise. And it tells the darkness, you may prowl the streets, but you will not cross this holy place. Yes, baby, your office can be holy. Your job can be sacred. Your work, your labor, your sweat, all of it can be an offering when you choose to begin with intention. And maybe, just maybe, you've never thought your office needed blessing. Maybe you thought only homes and churches required protection. But hear me, wherever you spend your energy, wherever you pour your creativity, wherever your name is spoken and your dreams are drafted, that place must be covered. Because not all battles happen in the open. Some happen in meetings. Some happen in emails. Some happen in the hearts of jealous coworkers, or in the doubts that whisper to you when your project isn't perfect. And if you wait until the battle is loud, you've waited too long. But if you bless your entryway, if you place that pinch of salt with purpose and faith, then you walk into your office differently. You don't just walk in as an employee. You walk in as a child of God. You don't just sit at a desk. You sit in your divine assignment. You don't just answer phones or sign papers. You move in your spiritual calling. And everything changes. Do you feel it now? That small act you thought was superstition has become sacred. That grain of salt has become a wall of protection, a signal to angels, a barrier to harm. And you didn't need a sermon, a shofar, or a ceremony. Just a handful of truth, just a whisper of belief, just a tiny, trembling gesture of faith. Beloved, don't wait until the storm comes to protect your space. Don't wait until you feel drained to fight for your peace. Put the salt down today. Say the prayer today. Mark your entryway not with fear, but with authority. Let salt remind the world that you are not to be played with, that your gifts are not up for theft, that your joy is not for rent, that your calling is not for compromise. Put it down. And when you walk through that doorway tomorrow morning, do not rush. Do not drag your feet. Walk with your head lifted high, your spine straight like an ancient oak. For you are entering sacred ground. You are walking into prosperity. You are stepping into peace. And the salt is your witness. Yes, baby, you are covered now. And no one can take what God has preserved. There is a quiet place in every room, a corner, a stretch of space that rarely sees footsteps. It is not loud. It does not demand attention, but it holds something sacred, something still, something ancient. That, my love, is the northeast corner. Now you may ask, why that corner? Why not the center, or the place nearest the window where light dances and curtains flutter? Why not the spot where your hands do most of their labor, typing, writing, creating? But you must understand, this world moves in rhythm. There is divine order to everything. The oceans follow the moon, the sun bows out for night, and the soul knows where peace lives even before the mind catches on. The northeast corner. Oh yes, it is the direction of beginnings. It is where the first light of dawn stretches her fingers and touches the earth. It is where God paints his earliest stroke across the sky. That's why when you rise from your bed, you notice the east. That's why the old saints used to say, "Look to the hills from whence cometh my help." Because the rising sun is a sermon. It's a symbol, a story of how darkness never wins. So if you want to welcome prosperity, child, if you want to usher in clarity, if you want to awaken dormant blessings that have been sleeping like seeds under frozen ground, you must speak to the day. And where do you speak to the day? In the northeast corner. Take your salt there, not just in hand, but in spirit. Don't rush it. Don't throw it. Lay it gently, like you're tucking a child into bed. Place it with intention. Whisper over it. Pray over it. Let your breath carry the desires of your heart. Not the ones you post online, but the ones you scribble in journals, The ones you cry about when no one's looking. The ones your grandmother prayed for before you were even born. Put that salt down in the northeast corner, and know this. You are not just seasoning space. You are stirring the air with purpose. You are sending a signal to heaven that says, I am ready for new beginnings. I am ready for what God promised me. That salt will sit quietly. It won't move. It won't sing. But it will summon. It will call out to what's been circling you in the spirit but hasn't yet landed. It will say, come now, breakthrough. Come now, creativity. Come now, favor. And the northeast wind, gentle and sacred, will carry your call upward like a note in a bottle on a holy river. You see, baby, prosperity don't just show up where money is. It shows up where there is order, where there is intention, where there is spiritual alignment. It shows up where a woman or a man has prepared the space, made it holy, made it open. That northeast corner, when salted with faith, becomes a magnet for movement. It shakes the dust off stagnant ideas. It resurrects things you thought were dead. It opens the door to what you thought was locked forever. And don't you dare think this is superstition. No, sugar. This is strategy passed down in whispers, from mothers who raised families on prayers and women who cleaned offices with songs on their lips. They may not have had degrees, but they had discernment. They knew that some things you can't see still hold power. They knew that the corner of a room could be the beginning of a revolution. I remember once a woman, strong, proud, wore grief like a crown, came to me, said her life was stuck, said nothing moved, said her hands were full but her heart was empty. I told her, go to the northeast corner of your space. Don't clean it. Consecrate it. Don't just put furniture there. Put faith there. Place a bowl of salt. Sit beside it. Speak over it. She looked at me like I was crazy. But she did it. And something shifted. A week later, ideas started coming back. Clients returned. Her mind, once cluttered with confusion, became a garden of clarity. She didn't change the world overnight, but the world inside her shifted. And that baby is where all miracles begin. You have that same power. You have the same access to divine alignment. But you've got to stop overlooking the corners of your life. Sometimes the treasure is not in the center of the room. Sometimes it's where you never thought to look. The northeast corner is not loud, but it is listening. It is not glamorous, but it is gathering. And when you anoint it with salt, you awaken it. You give it a task. You charge it with responsibility. That salt becomes a watchman over your vision. It becomes a guardian of your morning. It becomes a signpost to heaven saying, this child is serious about her future. This son is committed to his calling. Oh, and don't think the salt has to be fancy. It can be coarse or fine, Himalayan or sea. It doesn't matter. The power is not in the price. It's in the prayer. It's in the placement. It's in the posture of your heart when you lay it down. And every time you pass that corner, every time you glance at it, you'll feel something. Like the whisper of an old hymn, like the comfort of a hand on your shoulder, like the knowing that you are not alone in this thing. You'll remember that you've called forth your future, that you've planted prosperity in salt, that you've turned a forgotten corner into a fountain of beginning. Let the others chase after luck and chance. Let them hope without preparation. But not you. You will be ready, you will be grounded, you will be wise. And when the winds of change begin to blow, because they will, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be anchored in salt, rooted in faith, standing in the corner you once ignored but now adore. Because you honored it, you saw it for what it truly is. A place where God meets you at sunrise. A place where dreams begin to breathe. A place where the soul says, yes, I remember now. I was born to rise. The desk. It is more than just a table, child. It is an altar. It is the battlefield where ideas are born and sometimes buried. It is the cradle of your vision, the home of your hustle. The desk holds your thoughts, your prayers, your pain, your promise. And so it must be protected. Yes, indeed. You must not underestimate the spiritual weight of the place where your hands work. Because you see, our ancestors knew something that many have forgotten. That the place where you labor is the place where you live. And not just live in body, but in spirit. You live there when you dream. You live there when you write. You live there when you hope. You live there even when your back is aching and your eyes are tired from chasing daylight through duty. So if you're going to dwell in that space, if you're going to pour your soul into screens and spreadsheets and sacred plans, you must cover it, you must cleanse it, you must mark it with salt. Slide it quietly beneath the desk. Just a pinch, just a dish, tucked away where no eyes can see but all spirits will feel. Because salt doesn't need attention to work. It doesn't perform for applause. It's subtle. It's solemn. It's sacred. That salt will sit like a sentinel under your desk. And while your hands type and your mind toils, it will be working. Absorbing heaviness, absorbing fear, absorbing all the weight that builds when you're expected to smile while carrying a mountain inside your chest. Salt under your desk becomes a silent intercessor. It prays when you forget to. It whispers when you are too wary to speak. It reminds the universe that this place, this corner of effort, is holy ground. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This isn't superstition. This is strategy. This is the wisdom of old women with strong backs and tender hearts. This is the rhythm of sacred survival. When you sit at your desk, you bring all of you to that space. Your ambition, your trauma, your resilience, your doubts, your childhood dreams. They all gather like family around a kitchen table. You are not just working, baby. You are weaving the fabric of your legacy. And the salt. The salt makes sure the thread doesn't snap. Sometimes when the world feels heavy, when your work is unnoticed, your efforts unrewarded, your goals unmet, that salt under your desk catches your tears before they fall. It collects your sighs like sacred incense. It keeps you rooted. Because the enemy doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes he comes in the form of fatigue. Sometimes in the guise of procrastination. Sometimes in that soft voice that says, "You're not enough," or "No one sees you," or "Why bother trying again?" But salt, oh sweet salt, salt under your desk says, "No, not today, not to defeat, not to despair, not to distraction." Salt grounds you in purpose. It tells your feet to stay planted. It tells your mind to stay clear. It tells your spirit to stay open. And when others walk by your space, when they glance and wonder why your atmosphere feels different, why there's a hush around your cubicle or a peace in your home office, they won't see the salt, but they'll feel it. Because salt doesn't just sit, it speaks, it blesses, it binds. Now, if you work with others, if your desk is among many, and their energies brush against yours like wind against leaves, then all the more reason to anoint your space, because not everyone comes with clean hands or clean hearts. Some folks carry bitterness like perfume, and it lingers in the air long after they've gone. Some carry chaos and they look for places to set it down. But your desk, baby, that will not be the place. Because the salt says, this is claimed, this is covered, this is consecrated. And even if the work you do feels small, if no one claps when you finish a task, if the emails never end and the paycheck feels short, still place the salt, because your work matters, your effort matters. And the energy around you must be aligned with what you are building. Remember, God does not only dwell in churches and cathedrals. He dwells where you invite him, even under your desk, especially there. Now, I want you to do this with intention. Don't rush. Don't just drop the salt like it's another chore on a list. Hold it. Breathe on it. Speak over it. Say, "Bless this space where I labor. Let no evil dwell here. Let no frustration linger here. Let no weapon formed against my peace prosper here." And then place it. Place it with power. Place it with purpose. And each time you return to that desk, each time your fingers meet the keyboard or the pen or the plan, you'll know something divine is beneath you. Something holy is holding you up. Something strong is keeping you steady when the storms rage. Salt beneath the desk is not just a tradition, it's a testimony that even in your labor, God is present. Even in your office, the Spirit rests. Even in your exhaustion, heaven is watching. So work, child, create, dream, design, but do not forget to protect the space where those dreams begin. Because when you honor the desk, the work that flows from it becomes drenched in favor. And when you bless the hands that labor, the fruit of that labor becomes multiplied. Put your salt there, and then sit. Sit with peace. Sit with joy. Sit with the knowledge that you are not alone in your labor. For beneath you heaven stirs, and beside you angels watch, and within you greatness rises, and still like dust you rise. There is a quiet power in the places we store our hopes. Not the loud dreams, not the public ones, but the ones we fold into folders, the ones we press into spreadsheets, the ones we whisper into ledgers late at night when no one's watching. Those hopes live in numbers, in invoices and balances, in contracts and credit lines, in budgets held together with belief. And so, child, let us not forget to bless what holds your provision. Let us not overlook the corner of the desk where the papers stack up like bricks in a temple you're still building. Let us not neglect to anoint the very documents that hold your increase, your overflow, your stability. Place a small dish of salt near those sacred items. Yes, salt, humble, ancient, unwavering. The kind your great-grandmother used to protect her kitchen, the kind they used to trade like silver, the kind that preserves what would otherwise rot. Put that salt beside your bills, your receipts, your plans, your projections. Place it there not as decoration but as declaration. Let it sit silently and speak for you. Let it stand watch over your effort. Because where your money lives, so too lives your labor. And anything that carries the weight of your labor deserves your spiritual attention. You see, the world will tell you to hustle, to grind, to push until your back breaks and your spirit bends. But I'm here to tell you, before you hustle, you must honor. Before you grind, you must guard. Before you spend, you must sanctify. That's salt. It's not superstition. It's a sentinel. It watches over your accounts like a grandmother in prayer. It holds the vibration of clarity, of protection, of truth. It says to every contract, be fair. To every dollar, be multiplied. To every debt, be dissolved. To every delay, be gone. You may not see it moving, but it's working. In the quiet, in the corners. In the invisible realm where favor is born and miracles take shape, place it with reverence. Don't toss it like it's trivial. Place it as you would place your hand on a child's forehead to bless them. Softly, firmly, with love. Because your financial space is more than math. It is memory. It remembers every hour you sacrificed, every risk you took, every night you went without sleep, trying to make 2 coins stretch to feed a vision too big for your bank account. The salt remembers, too, and in its silence it testifies. It calls the heavens to remember you, to favor you, to send help from places you never thought to look. Put it near the contracts, those papers that carry your promises, some signed in ink, some signed in faith. Put it there so that only what is righteous is written, so that no lie, no deceit, no hidden clause can sneak past the eyes of the Spirit. Let the salt see what you might miss. Let it be your silent partner at the negotiation table. And your invoices, bless them. Lay the salt nearby and speak life into them. Let each line item carry more than numbers. Let it carry the energy of your worth. Let the salt remind the universe that your labor has value, that your skills are sacred, that your time is not to be wasted nor underpaid. Some folks will think you're foolish. They'll laugh at the thought of salt guarding your money. Let them laugh. For they do not know that salt was once as precious as gold. They do not know that even in Scripture, salt was used to seal covenants. Salt was used by kings and prophets to protect harvests and make offerings holy. So what better companion could your financial future have? Now listen, sweet one. Salt doesn't solve everything. It won't balance your books. It won't chase down that unpaid invoice or fight off greedy hands. But what it will do is shift the atmosphere. It will push back the spirit of lack. It will invite the presence of abundance. It will keep your financial dealings honest, aligned, and blessed. You will notice it. Not in a flash, but in a flow. Suddenly. You'll feel clarity when managing your accounts. Opportunities will come that align with your purpose. The deals you attract will carry peace instead of pressure. And money. Yes, money will begin to serve you, not the other way around. Because prosperity is not just about possession. It is about peace. It is about protection. It is about being so aligned in spirit that even your coins echo the voice of God. So put that salt there. Let it be a symbol that you will no longer fear money, that you will no longer chase it with anxiety, that you will no longer let it be the source of your stress. Money is a servant, not a master, and salt will keep that servant in line. Put it by the safe, by the cash drawer, by the budget on your desk. Place it next to every physical reminder of your goals, your business, your financial legacy, and say, let my dealings be clean. Let my income be blessed. Let my harvest come quickly. And let no curse cling to my coin. That, my dear, is not magic. That is ministry. That is the kind of spiritual alignment that shifts generations. That breaks generational curses of lack. That says, it ends with me. Abundance begins here. Let the salt do what salt does. Preserve, protect, purify. And while it watches, you walk boldly. Make your plans. Send your invoices. Sign your contracts. And know, beneath it all, around it all, over it all, you have laid your faith like a blanket, and your salt like a shield. And baby, when faith and salt meet where your money lives, you better believe heaven pays attention. There is a way to place salt that moves mountains, a way that touches heaven, not with rushing hands or doubtful hearts. No, my dear, with reverence, with understanding, with the knowing that salt in your space is not an act of fear. It is an act of faith. Some will call it foolish. They will say, what can a handful of salt do? They will call it superstition, like a charm hung on a doorpost, like some whisper from an old woman with cloudy eyes. Let them speak. Let them scoff. But you and I, we know better. We know that what is simple is often the most sacred. You see, salt has no voice of its own, but it speaks in the spirit. It has no hands, but it holds your space like a prayer made solid. When you place salt with understanding, when you lay it down with intention, you are not playing with ritual. You are walking in divine rhythm, aligning your space with the laws of heaven and the laws of the soul. For the Bible says, you are the salt of the earth. That means you are meant to preserve, to protect, to flavor the world with righteousness, just like salt does. So when you set salt in the corners of your life, with prayer in your bones and faith in your hands, you're not mimicking old folklore. You're walking in your spiritual inheritance. You're saying, Lord, meet me here. You're saying, angels, rest your wings upon these walls. You're saying, let nothing enter this place that has not been sent by God. But let us be clear, salt without belief is dust. Salt placed in fear is just a grain of panic. It will not move mountains. It will not bless your path. Salt must be laid in faith, child, the kind that rises even when your knees are trembling. There is a moment, quiet, tender, when your hand reaches for the salt, and your spirit reaches for God. That moment is holy. That moment says, I trust that what I cannot see is stronger than what I do. It says, I believe that God is not limited to pulpits or pews. He can be in the corners of my home, in the threshold of my office, in the documents on my desk. Do not make the mistake of treating this act like a trick. This is not sorcery. This is sovereignty. This is not hocus pocus. This is hope. This is not fear in disguise. This is faith made visible. Faith, my dear, is what makes the salt powerful. It is the whisper that activates the grain. It is the belief that opens the door between the visible and invisible. It is what turns salt from a mineral to a message. And oh, what a message it sends. When you place salt in your space with faith, you're telling every force of darkness, you are out of jurisdiction here. You're telling every discouraging thought, your voice has no echo here. You're telling your future, this house is ready to receive you. This room has made space for your arrival. Salt says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Salt says, I will dwell in peace and not in panic. Salt says, even in the mundane, the holy is present. But here's what the world won't tell you. You must carry the right heart when you place your salt. You cannot do it while gossiping. You cannot do it while doubting. You cannot do it while rushing through it like it's a chore. Place it like you place communion. Place it like you place your hand on a loved one's casket. Place it like you are writing your name in the book of life, with stillness, with strength.